Hi again, I'm Joe Fogel with the Land Use Education Program at Virginia Tech, and we have Mike Chandler with us, the Director of Education for the program. And we're going to continue our conversation about community planning. One topic that seems to be very important for people for a number of reasons is still this issue of jobs, jobs, jobs. We've got a number of different fronts that are working on that issue across the state, and we have national programs that are trying to facilitate more economic development. But what's the role of community planning in all of this?
People will decide to locate in a particular community because they know that community possesses the mix of attributes, characteristics that they're looking for. In other instances, they may well be attracted to a community solely because of the employment opportunity. Okay. And when we look at outmigration in the sense of people commuting out of a community rather than outmigration, but commute out of a community for employment, like some of those in our state who live in Northern Virginia, or even the neighboring state of West Virginia, but commute into Northern Virginia and the District of Columbia for employment. They probably do so because that's the source of a well-paying job, yet they live an hour or two away, but they're willing to make that sacrifice.
Right. Well, it has to do a little bit with the cost of housing, and sort of issue kind of.
Very, very true. All of those things are variables that play into where people decide to locate, right. Have their experience as a member of the community. One of the challenges, obviously, is if you work outside a community where you choose to live and find that you're commuting an hour or plus a day, that cuts into the quality of life in a community. So it's one of the reasons why localities are very conscious about trying to provide homegrown jobs, provide economic opportunity internal to the city or county so that people right. don't have to commute out.
And with respect to that, sometimes we hear about the idea that localities are competing with one another for jobs. Is that always the case? Is it always a competition to see who can attract the jobs, or is there a regional aspect to that too, where you might have a bedroom community, or you might have a certain type of employment that's common to one locality and not to another? How can we think locally, but also, knowing that there's, as you said, commuters that are going to be crossing jurisdictional
yes.
lines?
Well, I think it's important that we have a conscious understanding of our local economic base and what makes our community tick or work as a county, city, or town. But then we also have to recognize that that county, city, or town is part of a much larger, which we might refer to as a region, as in the greater Richmond region. We think of Richmond as the central core city, and then around it the various counties and other cities and towns. And we look at the core as the Bureau of the Census in defining urban settings or metropolitan areas or metropolitan statistical areas. And that particular core, as in the case of Richmond, as a financial center, the state capital, a primary source of employment for people in the greater Richmond area, you will have that trade-off where people will work maybe in Richmond proper, but they'll live in a surrounding jurisdiction. Thus, there's a important recognition that both entities need one another. There needs to be a solid transportation component or network so that people that might live in Hanover can easily get to Richmond as a source of employment. So it is a partnership that develops in terms of the individual community's land use pattern, but also how that comports with other jurisdictions. And transportation is one of the more important right. components that connect one community with another.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And you also raised the point there about there's so many different sectors, there's so many different types of jobs in any particular region, where you might have natural resource-based recreation, and the grocery store, and teachers, and folks who work in other kind of government jobs like firefighters. There's sometimes this discussion about communities wanting to attract a certain type of business, and we've seen that sort of behavior at the local level with manufacturing in Western Virginia, as well as other military here in the Tidewater area. Are there things that communities can be doing with respect to economic development and land use planning that can help in attracting the jobs that they're considering as beneficial jobs, not just available jobs, but ones that they're trying to attract.
I believe so, and I think that increasingly has become one of the more important components or chapters, elements that we find in well-articulated comprehensive plans, where there is a study done to assure the community that it has the appropriate education system that will produce the workers that business and industry and commerce are looking for in the 21st century. The interface between a solid education at the primary, secondary level, but also community college or college base is terribly important. And I think there's been a realization and recognition that we have to invest in education in order to create the workforce that is going to be needed in the 21st century. It's important that you play to your strength. If you're an agricultural community, a community that's engaged in harvesting natural resources that are bountiful in central and much of the Commonwealth of Virginia, therein again you have to make sure that you have a land use direction that allows for perpetuation of that industry and then the creation of a workforce who has the skill set to be able to harvest that natural resource and continue to provide that service.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate your help and
you're welcome.
understanding the intersection here
You're
between
welcome.
the economics and land use planning.
Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody. And if you'd like to see this video and other videos that we've produced, you're welcome to go to planvirginia.com. And on our website, you'll also find events that you can register for online, upcoming events, and other materials that we've produced. So we look forward to seeing you again on our video series, and please visit the website. Thanks, Mike.
Good.